In this video, I'm going to walk you through an overview of a landmark adventure for the One Ring. As well, at the end I'll share some links to some other free assets that are worth looking into for the game. This is my second landmark adventure. For the first one, I focused on rangers, and for this one, I decided to focus on hobbits. Looking through a bit of the prologue for the Lord of the Rings, there is the line, "To the last battle at Fornost, with the Witch-lord of Angmar, the hobbits sent some bowmen to the aid of the king, or so they maintained, though no tales of men record it." I thought that would be a good starting place. Now, while writing this adventure, I got the Ruins of the Lost Realm, where there is also an adventure based on that same line from Lord of the Rings. However, while there are some very strong similarities between them, there are also enough differences that make both adventures their own thing, and honestly, I do like what I came up with more than what's in the Ruins of the Lost Realm. But these two adventures could also be mixed and played together. For the rumor for this one, I thought it would work really well for players to encounter someone, possibly drinking in a tavern, who hears that hobbits sent bowmen to the battle against the Witch King. The NPC laughs and says he has never heard anything like that before, but he'll gladly lay a wager that no real evidence can be found of hobbits at the Battle of Fornost. Then, if the players wish to do a bit of research, they can learn that the battle did not happen in Fornost itself, but on the plains halfway to Lake Evendim. The background section gives a bit more detail about the battle itself, as well as the twist of this adventure, which is that not only did the hobbits fight in the battle, but many of them stayed behind, and their descendants are still living along the river nearby. In locations, I've included a little bit about Fornost, in case players head there first. As far as journey events go, the core rules has a great table for events around the city, which will work perfectly. The only addition I have is that players might come across some evidence of the Devourer of the North, which we'll come back to. I wanted to make a location that was very light on combat, so the main areas here don't focus on fighting enemies, but rather on meeting new allies and visiting a historic location. These include the Great Barrow, Reclaimed Earth, the Hobbit Mound, and homes of the Riverfolk. For the site where the Witch King's fallen soldiers were burned, I was originally going to have the earth still be barren, and there be something like wraiths to fight if the ground was disturbed. In the end, I like what I changed it to, which is the earth healing, and the old horrors being forgotten in time. While either option would fit Tolkien's works well enough, I think that this has a good melancholic feel to it that I really like. The Hobbit Mound is very similar to what is in Ruins of the Lost Realm. In that, the site is now covered with flowers, but I prefer the orchard that I wrote here. The one element I did take from the Ruins of the Lost Realm is that hobbits can lose a shadow point at this location. I originally had them regain a point of hope, but losing shadow is a bigger deal, so I'm stealing that. This next bit about hobbits living in the area has no basis on the source material, but I liked the idea, and it gives the players characters to interact with. This also lets them fulfill their task of finding evidence of hobbits at the battle, since these descendants can share their history and give them a token to take back with them. Also, having them be a dwindling people fits pretty well with Tolkien's works, having this feeling that things are passing away. The last element that I've included here is the Devourer of the North, a fell spirit trapped in the form of a great wolf by the Witch King before the fall of Angmar. This could introduce some combat into this adventures if your players want it, but my feeling is more that it can be a presence that stalks the company, only attacking when they are weak or separated and then disappearing into the darkness when players fight back. I actually have a bunch of thoughts on creating a good sense of dread and what I think some RPGs miss out on. I was going to include that here but realized it would take too long, so I'll make a whole separate video just for that. That is all for this adventure. Before I share some other free assets, I'll mention that if you're feeling particularly generous, you can support this channel using the link below. Moving on, here's a list of free stuff that you can use for the One Ring. All the links will be in the description. The first up is, of course, this channel. If you haven't watched any of my other videos, there are a bunch that go over the rules of the game, as well as custom content, like wizards as a playable culture, and soon there will be even more landmark adventures. You also may have noticed that the background sheet design for this is not the one from the core rules. I have made my own design that you can download and use for your own One Ring content. Next up, here's some stuff that I did not make, like these different character sheets. This vertical one is the version that I use. I like how it's laid out a bit more, and plus there's stuff like the special damage options right on the sheet. Then there's this massive list of a bunch of expanded heroic cultures. If there is a culture that is mentioned anywhere in the books, you'll probably find it here. Finally, these next 2 points aren't about the One Ring, but are somewhat related. After the open gaming license kerfuffle that happened a few months back with D&D, Free League announced that they'd be releasing their own free systems, and that has just recently happened. There is the Year Zero engine that Free League uses for a lot of their games, and a license to create third-party content for their upcoming Dragonbane RPG. So if you're interested in creating your own RPGs, these are well worth looking into. That is all I have for now. As for what's coming up next, I've got a bunch more adventures that I'll be writing, and I now have the Ruins of the Lost Realm, although I'm having a hard time getting the PDF version from the store that I got the book from. Once I have that, I'll make a review of that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you tried out, let me know. Or if you've read the version from Ruins of the Lost Realm, let me know how mine stacks up. Thanks for watching.